Hello, good evening to another episode of Elephant in the Room. Welcome to our show this Wednesday evening. Hope everybody is doing well. How are you, Taranjeet?
I'm well. I'm well. It's great to see the thunderstorms are no longer here, unlike yesterday with the lightning flashes, which is brilliant. But it's good. It's a fantastic midweek, and we have a really good session planned out this evening. And if we can start it off, Mui Han, let's start this off straight away.
Straight, sure.
So
Go ahead.
until today, we've been really focused on getting the reality sorted, the reality of today moving forward. We've had the absolute delight last week talking about what the reality is from a recruitment angle. We went down and had a chat with Kevin Yong there. We also had a chat with Renuka Singham, who talked about the whole visual imaging that we have, and what are some of the tips and tricks that we can bring to the casting. After all, we are in this casting like environment. We then had the distinct pleasure of having Adli Walid on board. Adli, if you remember, is the CHRO of Sime Darby Oils, and he was talking about how this national icon has now gone into this level of realization, and how do we now impact the individual on the ground to drive maximum productivity, yet not losing out on the health and well-being that is also important for us. And we ended the week with David Jones, and David Jones was the managing director, and is the managing director rather, of CMI UK, looking after Asia Pacific. And he gave some wonderful trips and tricks and trips about what are some of the skills that managers in this new reality, and it's no longer new, this is it, need to look at. And that was where we were effective last week. Muihan, back to you.
Great, Taranjit. So today we have a very special guest, and as we were sharing yesterday, this week we wanted to really talk to the industry captains to actually look at the various industries and how things have changed, and more importantly, what it is moving forward. So today we have the proud pleasure to have this guest to help us to understand better the retail and shopping mall industry, especially in these very unsettling times, and how we can in moving forward. So let me just quickly introduce him before we bring him on. So we have with us this afternoon or this evening, Mr. Kevin Tan from Sunway Malls. So Kevin currently is the Chief Executive Officer of Sunway Malls, looking after overall the entire mall business that covers buildings or complexes like the Sunway Pyramid, Sunway Velocity, Sunway Carnival, Sunway Giza, and so on and so forth, right? So Kevin have 35 years of experience in shopping mall industry. He's a really very experienced in this area. And of the 35 years, 18 years are with the Sunway Group. So without much further ado, let us welcome Kevin to the show. Welcome, Kevin, to Elephant in the Room.
Hi, Muhan. Hi, Taranjeet. Hi, guys out there. Thank you very much for your kind citation of me.
Kevin, it's absolutely a delight having you on board. And let's start it off. We don't have a lot of time, so let's start this off. And I think it's a question which a lot of us are going through right now. We've been stuck at home for over 70 days. Well, most of us are. Only now the roads are becoming filled. Only now we are seeing foot traffic coming along. What's the situation on the ground with regards to retail and shopping malls over the last 3 months, given the MCO, the CMCO, and now the RMCO, and there are just too many variables there to think about? What do you see playing out, Kevin?
Okay, well, as you can see, the once upon a time an epidemic has transformed into a pandemic. Yeah, so a lot of us are moving into uncharted waters, really. Yeah, so a lot of people have never experienced this sort of situation before. But us and some of the senior management team, we have been around for a long time. We have seen several crises, including the last financial crisis in 1997. So during the MCO, we were calm and collected to plan and chart out our strategies to what to do next, particularly prioritizing on safety, because that's of paramount important for our occupants and our visitors and staff as well. So we charted out a lot of plans and strategy to make the mall safe again. And then we also look into how we can assist our tenants to who will we expected be suffering from loss of businesses, because a lot of them cannot open. Only essentials can open, and then we also understand they will suffer from acute shortage of cash flow and things like that. So we are planning and strategizing during the MCO. So we weren't having a holiday. So we're working from home doing that. So during as we move into the CMCO, where more categories were allowed to open, then we were starting to implement most of our plans and strategy that we have charted earlier, on the ground, making it safe for people who are coming back in trickles. And then through time, our footfall has started to increase from literally zero now to about 70% today. Yeah. So as we grow on, tenants start to open, and we started to talk to them on how to help them in terms of their financial losses, reducing their costs, their overhead. We implemented factory hours to ensure they are able to operate in one shift to contain their overheads and things like that. So now moving to the recovery stage where we are seeing better footfall, better car count, and the sales are starting to increase. We confront with the problem of the limitation of social distancing that's limiting capacity. Even at peak, a restaurant can only do about 40% of what they previously have done. So these are the issues we're encountering, but still at the same time, placing safety and hygiene as top priority. This is what we have been doing so far.
Very good. And I think that's absolutely brilliant, because it gives you an opportunity to now work with the tenants to actually understand. Now, if I could take it one step further, Kevin, let's deep dive a little bit more into this. What were some of the real measures that you had put into play with these tenants? You talked about, helping on a financial re-imaging, replanning the financials, and that's very magnanimous of Sunway. It's amazing. You are vested in the success of your tenants, which, sometimes people will say, well, that's nothing to do with me. It's your particular thing. But this is great. How and what have you done specifically? Maybe 2 or 3 interventions that you could share with us and the audience as a whole.
Well, immediately, we know the concern of tenants. Immediately, we were the first group of malls to offer 100% rent-free for the first MCO. That is to comfort them. Say, don't have to worry about your rent. Let's worry about your business. Yeah. Then we also work out what we call a business assistance package, where we have relaxed a lot of our procedures and rulings, like flexible repayment scheme. And we say, don't worry about whatever interest you may incur due to late payment. Don't worry about that. Let's focus on a safety aspect first. Yeah. So these are the things we spoke to tenants about first, right? That not to worry, let's focus on safety first.
Very nice. I love it. I really. So talking about safety now, and let's think about moving forward the discussion. What type of safety interventions have you put into place, and how are we now interacting with the consumers as they are now gaining confidence to come into these malls? And also bearing in mind, our overall infection rates have increased a little bit over the last couple of days, to be expected, to be honest. So how are we actually taking this and dovetailing it into real interventions, so that us as consumers are better informed about what you guys are doing in the mall area?
You see, some of the things we have done to, as far as health and safety is concerned, we have implemented what we call the 4 cores, the EIHH cores. That is, we enhance the screening and safety check. We intensify hygiene at premises. And we also have holistic education and training on how to handle health and hygiene. And we also heighten social distancing. So we thought these are very important subjects that tenants must understand. We even appointed some of our key staff as what we call the social distancing officer, taking upon ourselves to walk the ground to make sure our visitors are observing this. And today we have extended this initiative to our tenant. So every store you will find one of the staff will be an appointed social distancing officer enforcing this SOP within their store. So public areas, the shop management, the mall management will do it. In the store, the staff of the store will also do it. Yeah.
Great. So maybe before I go and engage our audience, just wanted to quickly wrap that question up. So how has the public or the consumer been reacting to some of these measures? You know, I mean, I think I saw you posting up your social distancing, what you call ambassadors, and you also took around, I think, one of your LinkedIn posting, and I was very impressed with that. So what is the acceptance level, and is there any concerns from the public or even from the tenants with all these extra measures in that sense? Maybe you can share on that before I move on.
Okay, one of the most objective measurements of measuring whether the public are confident to come back to the mall, whether our measures are effective, is our footfall and car count measures. Yeah. Since then, our footfall, like I said, today we have climbed up to 70% versus the pre-COVID level. Our car park count is about 60 to 65% now. They are coming back. So it's increasing at a rate of 5%. Yeah. So much so we forecast by the end of the year, we should hit about 80% of the footfall compared to pre-COVID level. So that is the objective measurement of whether the effectiveness of our health and safety measures.
Okay, good. So before I proceed, I just really wanted to quickly engage our audience for tuning in, and firstly want to just welcome Jack Tan to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Also Chong Sulim, thank you for your being here. Dr. Michael Heng from Singapore, thank you for your presence. All right, all the way from Singapore. We have Andrew Chin as well. Okay, and Ranjit is from Malacca. Hi, Ranjit. Also another past guest speaker, Zorab for tuning in. And we have Sujit Bhawan from Perth. All right, so Sujit, welcome. And of course, so maybe one of the things that we wanted to really understand is this. And one of the key areas, and I think I just asked you this before the show, was the shopping mall industry was also quote unquote suffering before COVID, you know. So how has this COVID came and MCO came changed the game for the industry, and more in particular for Sunway Malls itself? Maybe you can share that with our audience.
Well, before the pandemic, obviously there was talk of overglut of retail space, especially Malaysia and Klang Valley. Yeah, in America they call it retail apocalypse. Yeah, so we have this situation of too many malls, and they are still fighting its footing. Like anything else, those who are the weak, they will somehow be taken off the equation during the shakedown. Yeah, and the survivor and the fittest will continue. So malls like us, we are super regional mall of a very reasonable size, yeah, and then we are very stable and we are strong enough to weather a lot of crisis and pandemic. Yeah, so there will be a situation some malls will suffer. As you know, before the pandemic, there were malls on sale already, and now with this pandemic, some will suffer even more. There will be more put on the market. Some malls were newly open, may not even start off, may not even get the momentum to have a good start as well. But those stable ones, those good malls, the 5 good malls in Klang Valley, be it Mid Valley, what do you call One Utama, Srel KLCC, Pavilion, and us, we will still be relatively stable because our fundamentals are strong.
Okay. Right. So Just wanted to quickly, I think two of our common friends have tuned in, both Hua Chai and as well as Niven. So just came on to say hi to you, Kevin, and I think you probably, or they probably know you in that sense, right?
Oh, Tan Huat Chai is my idol. He's my idol.
Great, 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 great. So maybe would also take this juncture to also invite our audience to ask any question to you. Please do check with Kevin on anything that you want to further understand, especially in the retail industry. But let's us just dive in while the questions come in. More to so moving forward. Let's talk about moving forward then, because we have heard what you have done over this period, and some of these things are, as you say, returning the confidence, and the footfall is a very good metrics. So if you can, if it's not too secretive, maybe could you share with us what are some of the plans in moving forward from now, maybe to the end of the year, some of the innovative ways that maybe the group or the malls are planning to further increase back the confidence, if not make the entire environment thrive as what it is.
Okay, situation like the pandemic has forced us to do things, to change the things we are doing. We can no longer do the same things as we have done before. Those things where we are successful in the past may not be necessarily successful in the future. So we are venturing into the realm of e-commerce as well. Maybe having an e-mall, if you will, so that we can get engaged on this the era of digital transformation, which we have embarked three years ago. So we want to venture into a little bit of this more dimension, yeah. And then we also understand that people will still prefer to shop in the mall, but may not physically want to come. So we want to provide them a convenience of perhaps a drive-through. They order and then they pick up at a great time and a great location, you know. And then we also want to provide convenience for people to help them to shop around and then deliver to their homes or to their appointed area as well. So these are the things we are toying. But again, brick and mortar malls like us has a little bit of that kind of romance in us, yeah, where we are able to arouse and stimulate our five senses. The humans are like that. They need their five senses to be stimulated, to be alive, literally, yeah. So we still have that romance. People still want to come to a mall to experience that romance with the mall.
Yes, yes. And and that's what it is. You're rightly hit the nail on the head, Kevin. It's about the experience of retail.
Yeah.
It's the smell that you get in and the aroma that you get in of one particular outfit versus another. It's the look and feel. I absolutely, and I have been frequenting the malls that you are at, and I really love the way you've set it up. I've not been there for some time, admittedly, but I love the way you've set it up. What I also am intrigued about, if I could take this a little bit further, with the downturn that is expected, and some of the researchers have stated that this will go on all the way to 2024, 2025, until we get a full recovery in that regard, because of the global impact that this has had. And we are not spared as well, because we are such a small outfit in this bigger realms of things that we're looking at. With this in mind, that has then a direct correlation to the REIT, for example, the REIT environment. Funding has been raised earlier on the basis of what we are putting out on REITs. How is this going to play a role moving forward, and what are the implications, if at all, Kevin, in this regard?
Well, I look at it, most of our malls, in fact, all our malls are positioned to be more middle, largely more middle to a seating of middle upper, yeah.
Yep.
So it's reachable to most of the people, especially the middle class. So we are not a premium mall where affordability can be in question at this time, yeah. So it's still accessible to people, and we feel that the majority of the people will still be able to come and consume according to their disposable income. Although, well, taken that the next next few months or next year, disposable income is going to drop because of lots of jobless people there. But the things we are selling in a mall is not like super expensive.
Good.
Some are covering basis. So we feel that we are still able to get business being done in this environment, and be able to get the kind of rental that people are prepared to pay because business has been done and carry out. And then the
Good.
REIT itself is able to get the rent yield they want, and therefore the rent value proposition.
Very good, and I think that's brilliant, because then that provides some level of comfort to those who have invested in this type. I have another question, but before that, let's go to Zorab. Yes, there we go. So Zorab Chong, a very close guest of ours from before, he asked the question: what is your advice to retailers and those on the F&B side in surviving in this environment and coming out stronger? What are the one or two top things or areas that they can focus on? Your thoughts, Kevin?
Okay, this survival issue, well, we discussed with a few retailers, a lot rests on their discipline. Yeah, for example, have they been very disciplined in their financial handling of the financial? For example, did they have a decent working capital at the first place? Did they have
Yes.
a good store management or excellence in service at the first place? Because if we have a good financial discipline in having working capital, you'll be able to weather this for a while,
Yes.
at least for 6 months. Yeah.
Yes.
And then on the operation side, I think they need to do a lot of self-help in the sense that, for example, if their capacity now is restricted due to social distancing, go and speak to the landlord, go and speak to the mall manager for using the corridor space to add more tables and chairs to build up your capacity.
Yep.
For example, you can do that. Yeah. Another thing on the table as an option that which is done in very busy city and busy restaurant, there's an option of having restricted dining time. For example,
Yes.
you restrict your dining time to say 1 hour or 45 minutes. That's
Yes.
also on the table for them. They can call that option. So I would advise them to do some self-help rather than sitting down waiting for the durian to call. They must be proactively helping themselves.
I love it. I love it. And as a durian person myself, I really love it. The one question, and just to add on to that before I pass on to Mui Han, who is patiently waiting in the wings. One question is, and this was raised by you earlier, the implication of e-commerce. And quite rightly so, we still have the whole retail experience, but you got a majority of the guys who have now been used over the last 4 months to making purchases and having it sent directly to their homes. And you already see this playing out with some of the other malls, even before COVID started. You now have virtual malls with Lazada and Shopee and what have you coming out. And retailers, large retailers, are actually having their storefronts virtually in these particular areas. One of the areas that was discussed earlier was, is retail dead? And that's a very interesting question. I feel it is not, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Kevin.
Okay, bricks and mortar format like us, the mall, we have our likes and dislikes, our pros and cons. Yeah, depends on who looks at it. Yeah, equally also online shopping also have that likes and dislike, the pros and cons, the advantage and disadvantage as well. We have our magic in the mall in terms of experiential, and Malaysian largely being a social animal. Yeah, that's what they are. They will love to be immersed in this very experiential, very romantic mood of the mall, yeah, versus online. So I don't see that online affecting us much. During the time of pandemic, of course, out of no choice, because you cannot go out, so people tend to order online. But given the choice, just like taking aeroplane meal, if you have no choice, you will eat the meal in the aeroplane, which is, that small box flatless taste. But if you have a choice, you wouldn't be eating aeroplane food. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And then marketing is great that they will differentiate the product for you by adding extra service, the atmosphere, the fun fair that thrown into it to make it experiential for you to want to be in the mall. For example, in-store service, excellent. As you come in the store, people greet you, hello Dato, hello Datin. You feel great. Yeah.
So on that store, maybe just wanted to, uh, yeah, maybe wanted to ask if is that is the case, and I get your point of that there will be preferences and choices will always be there. There will still be a group of people that want to be physically in tactile with the environment. And you are right. We have like just Sujit say we have this addiction with shopping malls and even walking the malls. A lot of times, all my foreign friends ask us why, and my standard answer is we are a very hot country. We need to go to an air-conditioned place.
You
But
are right.
nevertheless,
Yes.
nevertheless, is wanted to know with that in mind, would then your tenant mix be different? Because there are certain things that we need that experiential environment, then and certain retails that now make more sense to do it virtually. Those type of retails or business will be diminishing because of our trend changing. But at the same time, we agree that malls may not be dead, but I will go to mall just for XYZ rather than A to Z. Now, what's your thoughts on that? Maybe you can share that with our audience.
You see, with the advance of e-commerce and technology, in fact, for the past decade, the mall industry has actually moved and shifted and transformed. It's no longer shopping per se today. Shopping mall is now becomes a lifestyle destination where the emphasis now of the tenants tend to swing more towards leisure and entertainment, and shopping is just one of the adjunct to a mall, meaning is by the way activity. You can see the tenant mix has moved in, like for example, F&B category has now even taken up to as high as 30% of the total net lettable area as well. Yeah? So these have moved. Like Sunway Pyramid, we are no longer a shopping mall. We are actually a lifestyle destination where there is heavy emphasis on leisure and entertainment, and shopping is just at the joint.
Great, great. So we have almost come to the end of our session, but there's a few questions that maybe I want to quickly just get your thoughts. I think Dr. Mike, I think Kevin have already explained your question, but KJ asked about REIT. So in this case, the excess supply of shopping space probably not relevant in your case, but maybe you want to give your thoughts on that based on our audience question.
Well, it's a question of demand and supply, the push and pull. Yeah, there are reasons why some master developer have shopping malls in their master development. Yeah, so their strategy, they want it to be a commercial precincts that sort of becomes a something that attracts people to come and then add value to their other components like their residential and commercial. So there are different reasons why. So as far as commercial space is concerned, now there are many ways to attract potential tenants to come. They restructured the rent. Rent is no longer very straightforward, how much per square feet, and that's it. So there are many different ways of structuring the rent as well. We have a bit of a percentage on the sales turnover with a combination of this and that, so you do well, I will do well as well. So many people are very innovative and now to structure rent in a way that the entry cost of coming to the mall is much lower, and then the risk is mitigated to be much lower for retailers to want to come in. Yeah, now.
Great. We are at the end of the show. Before we conclude, maybe just a quick shout out. We got another common good friend, Mr. Kik Sing Bee is also around. So I think he sent his regards to you.
Oh,
And
Sing Ming is my another hero.
you got all the heroes tuning in to watch you. Huh? And then Hua Chai earlier said that he also learned a lot from you, seasoned, more professional. Wow, this one very strong word. Right, in that sense. Okay. Any parting words for our audience this evening, Kevin?
Okay, I would advise them that those who have been to this crisis and those who have been to many crises, I think it's important to stay calm and collected. Yeah, it's a restart. It's the way of testing what we were doing before, whether it works or not. And in this pandemic, if not, we got to change. If we have to change, we have to change. It's a moment we have to face reality. If we have to squat now, we squat. Like the Chinese say if we cannot eat rice or say fan today, then we say choke. So we have to lower down our ego, face the reality. The important thing is you must survive the day and to fight tomorrow. So try to stay above water at the moment. Don't give up hope, because tomorrow, like I always say, the sun will shine again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will we will come and talk to you later back studio while me and Taranjeet wrap up the show. Thank you very much once again.
Okay, thank you guys for watching
Thank you,
in.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Taranjeet, it was quite an exciting conversation with Kevin Tan. Maybe two thoughts from you before I close the show. Come.
Sure. So I think the thing that really got me is the innate desire for folks like the Sunway Malls and those who are operating these sort of malls, one having the innate desire to ensure safety and health and well-being is top of agenda. Kudos to them. The fact that they were already taking this on board on the day one of the MCO. The second thing that came out very strongly with me is the vested success that they have in their success of the tenants. If they are not vested in the tenant success, ain't nothing going to move. So I really found that absolutely intriguing, and it was heartening to note that these big giants, and we will call them giants,
Yes.
have the tenants' success in mind. And the last thing that comes across for me is this whole lifestyle. So buying something which is a purely door to door, I can do that with the likes of my e-commerce and resellers virtually. But if I'm going to go out, it has to be a lifestyle mix. And I really enjoyed that. So those are the three takeaways from me, Mui Han.
Great. So quickly wanted to just highlight to you all, tomorrow we will also be having another key guest, and this time we have the likes of Rohit Nambia, which is the Chief Executive Officer of AXA Affin Life Insurance Berhad, and we will have Rohit here to share with us his perspective of his maybe idea of how the life insurance industry has been doing over this period, and what are some of the innovation that AXA Affin has brought onto their fold 3 or 4 years ago, and what is the results coming out over the last few months and in moving forward. So that is tomorrow. So please tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. to join us to talk to Rohit. And on Friday, maybe Taranjeet, you want to introduce Prof. Sattar?
Absolutely. So Friday we have Professor Sattar Bawani. He's going to be calling in from Singapore, a distinguished gentleman, a noted academic and a publisher. So he's gone away and published his books, specifically in the area of the disruptive leadership, specifically in the area of digital leadership within this disruptive place. So it's going to be very exciting, and I think we may may exceed a little bit the that particular 30 minutes, but let's see. We'll try and contain it, but let's see how it goes. So I'm particularly looking forward to all the sessions that are ahead of us over this coming couple of days.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you once again, all of you, for tuning in. And we will later thank Kevin once again for agreeing to come on. It was so exciting, so interesting to have him around. So with all your support, we will continue to deliver a best show of our possibilities. So thank you very much. See you again tomorrow evening. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care and bye-bye.
Thank you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.